John, thank you very much for your time. I saw a clip today from ground level of Davis running for a touchdown near the pylon, and they show obviously the head coach of Houston going nuts on the sideline. How big of a win was that for them, the way they did it?
Well, they think that it saved their season because they had to, because of injuries, had to start 3 different offensive linemen back up. They were missing C.J. Stroud. Davis Mills hadn't started a game since 2000. I can't remember the last time he started a game. So they were down 20-0, then 29-10 with 13 minutes left in the game. And then all of a sudden, the coach just told, basically, they opened up their offense, played a 2-minute offense, entire fourth quarter. Mills threw 2 touchdown passes, and he runs like he's stuck in wet cement. And he ran for the winning touchdown on a 14-yard run. And then Jacksonville still had time to get a field goal because they had the strongest kicker, Cam Little, who kicked a 68-yarder record last week. But Will Anderson Jr. sacked Trevor Lawrence. It landed in the hands of defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins, and he ran for a touchdown with no time left. And what few fans were left in the stands went bonkers. Most of them stampeded out of NRG Stadium when it was 29-10. Second largest comeback in Texans history.
John, how much longer for C.J. Stroud?
Paul, they never know that. It's whenever he gets to clear concussion protocol. 2 years ago, he had a concussion, missed 2 games. They play at Tennessee, where Davis Mills won when he was a starter before Stroud got here. And then they play Buffalo here on a Thursday night game in 2 weeks. So it won't surprise me if Stroud misses this game against the Titans, the worst team in the league, and then comes back the following Thursday to play the Bills, who have struggled. You know, they beat Kansas City, then they turn around and get killed at Miami. So the Texans beat them here last year in prime time, and the defense forced Josh Allen into the worst team of his career.
John, what have been your thoughts on the 2 ahead of them in the AFC South this year? The Colts, in clear command of the division right now, seem to be one of the better stories in the NFL with Daniel Jones and company, and the Jaguars, who are just always all over the place, but right now at 5-4.
Well, the fact that the Texans beat the Jaguars, you know, they got to play at Kansas City. They play Buffalo here. They still play Indianapolis twice, including the last game here that could be flexed. I think the Colts are going to run away with the division. They should have lost to the Falcons. Falcons lost to them in overtime and let Jonathan Taylor have over 300 yards total offense, scored 3 touchdowns, including the game winner in overtime. So Indianapolis is really good. But the week before, when they got beat, the key is to contain Taylor and make Daniel Jones beat you. And he has not been able to do that unless they have the balance of Jonathan Taylor. Taylor's had some big games against the Texans. It's hard for me to believe he's still only 26 years old. But this is a really good defense the Texans have. The defense only gave up one legitimate touchdown drive against the Jaguars. Texans should have beaten the Jaguars first time and had 3 fourth quarter turnovers in the red zone and lost by 7. So I can't wait till they play the Colts, but first they got to play the Titans and the Bills and somebody else. It might be the Chiefs. They do have back-to-back home games against Arizona and the Raiders later in the season. So if they're anywhere near a wild card berth, that would be a good time to make the move. But Indianapolis is going to run away with the division, and I have bought in on the Patriots. I didn't buy in, even though they won at Buffalo, but to go down to Tampa and beat the Buccaneers, I'm all in on Mike Vrabel and Drake May and that whole group. Vrabel, unless something happens in which the Patriots collapse, and it's not likely considering what an easy schedule they have. They might end up with a home field advantage in the AFC, just like they did so often with Tom Brady.
John, I sat there and I glanced and kept double checking. Was I looking at the right year? The Dolphins beating the Bills when it doesn't make any sense. In college football, there's occasionally like when UCLA beat Penn State a few weeks ago. In the NFL, you just absolutely just don't know because everybody's pretty good. But that was a stunner. Are the Bills a little bit leaky right now, so to speak?
They weren't the week before when they beat up the Chiefs.
No, they did. Yeah,
and everybody say they're bad. And then they go to Miami. Now the Bills play, I think, the Buccaneers. And Miami has still got talent. When Tua Tagovailoa's not throwing multiple interceptions, and Devin Achane, I can't remember. He's pronounced differently in the NFL than he was at A&M. He is such a great runner, touchdown machine, receiver. They've got Jalen Waddle. They got a lot of talent on that offense. But what was the big surprise, they had made trades and lost a couple of their defensive players, and they still did a great job against Josh Allen and totally shut down the Bills' running game. So, yeah, teams are capable. Like people ask me, could the Titans, who are the worst team in the league, upset the Texans in this game? I said if Carolina can go into Lambeau Field and beat Green Bay and Buffalo can get stomped in Miami, of course they could upset them. That's why coaches go ballistic when they hear us talking about, a guaranteed win or looking ahead, because they know not just what the other team is capable of, but what their team is capable of if it doesn't focus. And that's what made the Texans game Sunday. They come out against Jacksonville. First series, Mills throws an interception, and they kick a field goal. Next series, the kickoff is fumbled, 19-yard touchdown drive, 10-0. Next one, punt return for a touchdown, 17-0. So they're down 17-0 so quickly. And my Twitter has been hacked now for 2 weeks, and I haven't been able to tweet. But had I been tweeting, I would have eviscerated them. And then I'd been wiping all that egg off my face at the end. Actually, I'd have been wiping all that egg off my Twitter account at the end.
John, do you think Bill Belichick is a real candidate for the Giants job?
No, I don't buy that at all. Nobody's going to hire Bill Belichick. You're getting a twofer. Nobody wants that twofer. They don't want Jordan Hudson in there trying to run PR and marketing and everything. He will never coach again in the NFL.
The Cowboys picked up Quinnen Williams, and I don't know if you guys talked about it Friday. Did you?
We talked it with Mickey. Yeah.
Okay, all right. But Quinnen Williams, a hell of a player. They actually reacted to the trade deadline. Of course, what Philadelphia's done, Howard Roseman seems to dial it up all the time. What the Jets are obviously selling. They're like getting the hell out of there and trying to draft picks. How good, in the end, with what the Cowboys did with the Packers and then the trades they've made, the linebacker from Cincinnati, are they still about where they would have been anyway?
They are this season. Quinnen Williams is a great run-stopping defensive tackle, but what was he doing for the Jets? They had Sauce Gardner, they had Quinnen Williams. They're still terrible. And there's got to be a new lease on life for him, even though the Cowboys are nothing special. And everything that happens to the Cowboys depends on how shrewd their general manager is when he's using the picks. And I'll ask you guys and your listeners who are listening, how much confidence do you have in the Cowboys general manager to make the right draft choices when he has, 2 1s and a 2, and then 2 1s the next year?
In the first couple of rounds, fine. I, in fact, wish they only had first and second round picks, because once they get past that, outside of Dak Prescott, the examples of Jerry Jones without Jimmy Johnson picking guys up in the fourth round or later are few and far between.
I think they liked if they had Lawrence back. He had 2 fumble returns for touchdowns in the first quarter for Seattle, which is a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, when I don't think anybody's untradeable. And look, if you don't want Micah Parsons on your team, you don't want Micah Parsons on your team. But John, I mean, they have to hope for the Packers to be stagnant for that trade to be really worth its full value, to where they're going to get this year a really high first-round pick, because they've already traded away next year's, for Quinnen Williams.
Well, they got to feel pretty good that the Packers are nothing special.
Mm-hmm.
They've proved that now with back-to-back losses at home. I mean, it's still going to be a low pick, but not where people thought when the trade was made, thought it might be one of the 4 or 5 lowest in the first round. Good thing for the Cowboys, and I know Jerry Jones and his staff know this. This is a great draft for edge rushers. It's the deepest I've ever seen. Overall, this looks like it's going to be a tremendous draft. And for a team like Cowboys needs defensive players, while those quarterbacks come off the board in the first round because teams are desperate, they're going to have their choice of pass rushers. They're going to have a choice of another good cornerback. So this is a great time to have picks, but you got to use them correctly. But if you need an edge rusher, this is the draft.
John, should Baylor move on from Dave Aranda?
I don't think that we can say that now. I feel a lot better after this last game. What do they if they win out? I was ready to have it fired last year, and then they won out. And it's not to say they can't. They got to beat Utah. After watching Houston, I thought for a while there they'd lose to Houston. Now I feel they got a good chance to beat Houston. And so I do think that all that stuff about back roads, that just blows me away. Some of the AIs I've seen about Mac and Trig, they're so funny. But the fact is that if they beat Utah, then they're going to win out. And because this is the best team they're going to play. And if you win out, maybe if he wins 2, gets bowl eligible, he saves his job. Now, if they lose out, he's got to be gone. But I'll tell you something. I think I can't remember if I texted you or not. That game in which they dominated Central Florida.
Right.
And Aranda's kicking field goals, and we're going on our text thread, wow, he's not going for 4th down on his own 25. And the defense played great. And was it an invasion of the body snatcher? What was up with that performance? Now, hopefully, they can keep it up.
Well, it was UCF, and they do have some problems of their own, but hopefully for Scott Frost and company, they can iron them out. John, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.